Hi, and welcome back to Marwan's third episode of MAs. We've got an honored guest over here with us today, and he goes by the name of Alessio. I like the ring to it as well. He's a BR triathlon coach and is also working with the Saudi Triathlon Federation as well. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you coming over here. Thank you. Can you tell the viewers or the listeners a little bit more about Alessio?
Well, Alessio was born in Italy 34 years ago.
Okay.
And I spent more or less all my life in Italy. I got involved in sport when I was 3 years old. So my mom brought me to the swimming pool and just pushed me in the water. Yeah,
That's usually how it goes, you know?
So in the beginning was quite, a shock because I still remember that.
It is a shock.
Yeah, it was a shock. I couldn't swim. I remember I was in the first lane and just one stroke on the pool deck and one in the water. But then suddenly I fell in love with swimming and I never stopped. So after that, I did every level to learn to swim, and then competitive team, and I reached the Olympic. Yes, was the Olympic year. Open water national team in Italy, and from 2005 to 2010.
Nice.
It was my peak of my swimming career. And then after that, I turned into triathlon because life is weird. I stopped swimming. I started the university. I studied sports science in Italy, in Rome.
Okay.
I did basically 2 years of nothing.
Okay.
But I felt that something was missing. In the beginning is okay, I can relax. I don't have training. I don't have competition. So I enjoyed the first time. But then something was missing, and I turned into triathlon.
Okay.
2012 was 2012, and I'm still doing it. So yeah.
Amazing. So you started off with open water swimming, and then you ended up in triathlon. And what achievements have you done with triathlon? I believe when we were talking before, you told me about a couple of, you got some podiums as well in Ironman races. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, short, long story. I started in 2012, as I said. And in 2014, I did the Italian Championship half Ironman. So it was middle distance. In Europe, we call this distance middle distance.
Right.
And I finished 11th. So overall with the pros. So after that race, I realized that I can do very well in that. I could do at the time very well in this sport.
I'm sure you still can. I'm sure you still can.
Yeah, I'm quite still competitive.
Yeah.
And yeah, in 2015 I turned into elite.
Okay.
So it's not pro at that time because I used to compete only in Italy.
Yeah.
But basically my pro career started from there.
Oh, nice.
And then since there, I did quite on and off with the pro or age grouper. But yes, my top achievement are for sure the second place overall in Ironman Oman, Alpha Ironman Oman in 2022. And also before I moved to Dubai, I came here the first time in 2020, before Corona. And I finished second overall with overall age group with a time of 4 hours or 1. And
4 hours and 1 minute.
And 1 minute.
What's that like? How quick was the swim?
No, was bad because my goal was sub 4 hours.
Sub 4 by a minute though.
I came in Dubai to
getting to 4 hours and 1 minute is an incredible achievement.
Yes.
Wow.
I travel here. Okay, I had a friend here, so that's why I came here for the race. But then I studied a little bit, and I saw the race was very fast, and I said, maybe I can attempt a sub 4 hours, but I didn't. So about your question, to answer your question, I think I swam 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
25 minutes,
Okay.
because it was my best section, but yeah, with the wetsuit legal.
Okay.
I remember the bike was 2 hours and 6 minutes, more
2
or less.
hours and
Yes,
what was that? You were going-
43 average speed.
Yeah.
And then 122, 123 the run. Plus the transitions is 401.
That's insane. What about Oman?
Oman,
Yeah.
for me, Oman was even a better performance,
Okay.
because the course there on the bike is tough.
Yeah.
It's around 800 meters elevation.
Yeah, heard about it.
And I did 406.
406. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we cannot normalize the time, but
Yeah,
but I
definitely.
think that
Definitely
more or
for a
less a
heli
sub
course,
four, yeah.
800 meters elevation. That's crazy.
yes. And I remember I
Amazing.
had a strong bike as well.
Yeah. So you're one of those guys, right? Because I've done a couple of half Ironmans as well. So you're one of those guys where I'm waiting, say for example, the sub 45-minute swimmers, and then I'm just about to get in the water, and you just get out. You're one of those guys, aren't you?
Yeah,
you get out.
probably.
I'm like, he already finished. I'm like,
Probably.
what?
Okay, done.
I'm like, okay, all right, don't focus on that, just focus on you, kind of thing. But yeah, that's incredible. I think, you know what, in especially in like triathlon events, I think if you're a real good swimmer, then you have a chance in being like pro or elite. I think that's one advantage that everybody keeps telling me, and I've talked to many friends as well that doing Ironman races, and they were in the top 10 as well. They said, if you're not doing 115 or 120 per 100 meters, then you're probably not going to be that successful if you want to turn pro in that in triathlon races.
Yes.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I've been studying this thing now for more than 10 years, because my thesis for the bachelor degree in sports science was about this.
Okay.
So I compared the swimming time with the overall position.
Yeah.
But it was about the short distance.
Yeah.
So World Cup, so now it's called, it's not ITU anymore, it's World Triathlon. And yes, definitely, if you don't swim strong in the lead pack, you cannot have a chance to at least to finish in the top, I don't know, top 10, top 5.
Absolutely. It's that advantage. Even if you were a slow runner, you know, even if you're like, when I say slow, I mean in
Yes.
pro levels, slow
yes.
is probably
Yeah.
quick for everybody else. But even if, let's say that your run is not your advantage, and or say your weakest discipline, you're still gonna have that gap that you've left through from the swim to the transition, which everybody can do real
Yes.
quick. You know what I'm trying to
Yes.
say? That's really interesting.
And in the past, Ironman distance, so long distance, was different, because the bike was a little bit more important than the swim itself.
3/4 of the race, isn't it? So that's
Yes, but now the level is very high. So if we talk about pro level, if you lose, 1 or 2, 3 minutes on the swim, then it's very hard, because everyone rides hard.
Yeah.
And you have to make a huge effort to bridge the gap, and then you have still, the run to do. So
Absolutely.
now it's even the times are getting very low.
It is
Very fast.
real quick as
And
well.
Yeah, and there is no big difference between a half Ironman and an Olympic distance.
Yeah. So it's just 400 meters, which I cover anyway. For some reason, right? Whenever I'm in like open water swimming, I try to swim my best, but I don't have that sense of direction. So you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So in an Olympic distance, every time I'm supposed to be covering 1,500 meters, I look at my watch and I look like 1,936 meters. And I'm like, what? You know? I'm like, well, I mean, that's a PB for my 1,500 meters, but not a PB for this race.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say? What are the tips and tricks that you'd suggest to those who are listening, or even me myself as well, in towards like open water swimming, and how to be as effective or as efficient in going either a straight line or getting your times improved in that?
Well, you touched a very important point that for me is the top, because of course on paper you have to swim that distance,
Yeah.
but then you have to swim that distance.
Yeah,
So I think sighting is the number one as a tip. I can say as a tip. Because for you, 400-500 meters more for you, but for me as well. Speaking about time is say 7 minutes, 8 minutes more.
Yeah.
And it's also a waste of energy because
Absolutely.
you spend 10 minutes more in the
I
water.
die every time.
Exactly. So sighting, so lift your head and look the direction while you're swimming is for sure the most important thing.
Okay.
Then also the swimming stroke, the stroke in the open water is a little bit different than a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And you have to check the condition and also adjust the stroke, the length and the frequency, the cadence according to the sea conditions. Because of course, if the sea is a little bit choppy, you cannot glide, and just push and hope that you can glide as good as in the swimming pool. Okay. So you have to shorten a little bit the stroke and increase the cadence. Maybe push a little bit less in terms of power each stroke. But keep the intensity and the cadence high. It's like, for example, climbing, no? You drop the chain and a lighter gear.
Yeah.
And then increase the cadence and go up.
Absolutely.
Instead of downhill.
I see.
So you have to do this comparison.
And is there like a rhythm towards it? Is it like stroke, sight, or is it like, how do you differentiate between like on the sight when you're doing open water swimming? Do you have like a way where you're going, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4 look, or is it 2 look, or is it 1 look, or is it just whenever you feel like it?
Well, depends.
Okay.
Depends. If you're a good swimmer, of course you need to sight, let's say, less times. Okay. Because for sure, if you do 6, 8, 10 strokes without sighting, you know that you go more or less straight.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't lose too much the direction or the route. If you're a beginner, probably every 4 strokes, it's better.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have to see the curves. If you have, for example, 500 meters in between the buoys, of course, you need to check a little bit more the direction.
And that's the races over here. I think they don't put too many buoys. Like the difference between Ironman races and over here, like with the UAE Triathlon League, because I've been competing and see a lot, by the way, of BR triathletes over there. It's like, oh, boy, it's way over there. I'm like, I can't spot it even when I'm looking before getting in the water. I'm like, did I even see it? Like, did I even see it? So yeah, you're saying more sighting if it's longer.
Yes.
Okay. And less sighting, obviously, if it's shorter,
because you know that the buoy is there and you cannot go, the opposite
zigzags
direction.
Like mine is. You should see up. It's like not even
at
a
least
straight
in
line.
theory. Then I saw everything. So everything is possible.
Absolutely.
And another thing about this is the sea conditions. Because if the sea is choppy, again, you have to time your sighting with the waves. So of course, when you are on the edge of the wave, you should lift your head.
Okay.
Because when you are on the bottom, of course, you lift your head and you see the water.
Boom! You just get slapped by a water. That's what happened to me when I was doing Mallorca.
The waves have a rhythm, and you have to understand. Okay, and then sight with the same rhythm.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense. It's really interesting. I wish I knew that before doing my Ironman races. The amount of time I swallowed sea salt water, and I'm like, it ruins the whole race. Why? Because like you're stepping out of the swim and you're in transition. You're like, I don't feel well.
Yes.
I can't run anymore. I'm having a stitch already. Or in the bike, you can't take a gel because that there is like salt in your body. So the worst thing that you can do, I wouldn't advise this to anyone, but for me personally, this is what I do whenever I swallow too much sea salt. In transition, I know if I swallowed it, I just gotta put my fingers down my throat and just like take it all out. That's the only way, for me personally, it works towards getting my gel when I'm supposed to. A lot of times where I've swallowed sea salt water in those Ironman races and I'm in the bike course, I just try to get a gel, and that, that gag reflex is real.
Yes.
I can't take anything in, and then I get dehydrated. And after being dehydrated, you already got salt in your body, and it's like you cramp up, and it's just terrible. Yeah. So you were saying about your open water swimming for the Italian national team, right? Can you tell me what it took you as like on a physical perspective, on a mental perspective, to get to that level and be there?
Yes. Thinking about that after now 15 years, honestly, I don't know if it was higher the mental demand or the physical demand.
Okay.
I remember that the physical demand was terrible because I swam twice a day. Okay. So in the peak season, almost 100K per week.
God.
So I never ran 100K per week, but I swam. Imagine.
Wow.
And the feeling was every morning when I woke up I was completely, smashed, and I thought, no way I can swim this morning. But then every day you get in the pool and then you swim again in the afternoon. Then the strength is also an important part of training.
And what primary muscles do you focus on strength exercises for swimming?
For swimming, upper body
Upper
and
body,
core.
of course. Okay, and core.
Core is very important.
Okay.
It's important for injury prevention, but also to have proper strength when you swim.
Okay.
Then of course it's a general strength, and then in the water you train for the specific strength. With the paddles, with the pull buoy, with the rubber band, many toys. We call toys, many devices.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. And that was my personal mistake. And like in the first bit when I just started into triathlon, right? I just thought that, you know what? I'm just going to start with 700 meters every week. I'm going to increase 100 meters. It might work, but up to a certain level, and then that's it, right? You might be able to cover those distances, and then you just get stuck. You can't improve your times. You can't improve anything.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would recommend technique sessions maybe twice, 3 times a week as well. And then doing your own little bit of intervals throughout the week as well, if you want to be a really, really good swimmer. And I think that's what it takes. And that's what I've heard a lot of my friends been telling me. I think swimming, you have to focus on a lot. Because like if you're doing a full distance Ironman as well, that's really important. And it causes such a huge gap. Even if you're good at bike discipline or run discipline, someone's got an advantage over you in swim, probably is 5 minutes ahead of you. That's it. He can do the same bike as you, maybe even 1 or 2 kilometers per hour slower. He can run a little bit slower by seconds, and that's what it is in like pro training. Or what do you think about the amount of times that you got to do swim so you can reach to a certain level?
No, I think this topic is huge. We can talk about this for maybe we need a 3 hours podcast. Yeah. No, but you say, no, you are 100% right, because swimming is not about volume and pushing, like, for example, running and cycling.
Yeah.
But I would say 80% of the performance is technique, because you have to be efficient.
Absolutely.
Okay. If you're not efficient in the water, no way, as you say, you can reach a certain level, and then you stuck in the situation, the performance, because you have, your drag, your propulsion, your catch is not good. So, and you don't apply the power, the strength in the water properly. So the performance in that way has a limitation. About the session, you say once a week or twice a week technique, and then intervals. For triathlete and age groupers that they don't spend every day in the swimming pool, may be okay, could be okay. But for example, for a swimmer, high level swimmer that swims every day, we usually do the warm up, the drills. So technique, and then the main set. So every day we do technique.
Yeah,
we do still.
Super important. Yeah.
No.
Because it's the same with me. Like I was one of those guys that was just covering those distances every time. And at some point, I was just like getting through training peaks and then looking at what I'm supposed to do based on the data that I was given it. And it was telling me, all right, do this, do that. But no, you got to get yourself a coach. That's what I keep telling everybody. I'm like, the moment I got myself a coach in the span of only 2 months, I've gone from like 2 minutes 30 or 2 minutes 40 per 100 meters down to like 140 per 100 meters. And that's only in 2 months.
Absolutely.
It's a huge improvement talking about those variables as well. Yeah, man, that's the importance of like having technique and the swim coach, someone who's been there, done that at a high level, like for instance you, towards helping them and guiding them towards the right direction, towards doing it. Yeah, that's really interesting, right? One last thing before we close the topic. Can you explain briefly like what it takes if someone comes to you and asks you, hey, how am I supposed to be a really good open water swimmer or a triathlete? What are you going to say about that?
Well, it takes several hours of training per week. Okay, there are not shortcuts. A lot of passion, dedication, and you have to be ready to be, sore, and because it's painful.
It is.
And yeah, practice. Don't expect to be a champion because not everyone is a champion.
Yeah.
So also the expectation is very important, especially if you're a beginner and you want to start a certain sport, in this case, swimming and triathlon. Start easy. But when you go at a high level, for sure that you have to think that everyone, your competitors, they are doing the same job. So you have to push. I know it's very, it's a common phrase, a common sentence, but you really have to push a little bit more than the others because, when you fight, for, as you said before about my time in Half Ironman, 4:01, it's 1 minute. Nothing.
But for you, it's everything.
For me, 1 minute is, it's
because
a lot.
You set yourself an expectation as well. Yeah.
And then I thought, the next month, I thought where I lost the minute, maybe 20 seconds in
Keeps bothering you, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe 1 second per 100 meter faster in the swim. It's nothing. But then in the end of the race, it's 1 minute.
Yeah.
And you don't reach your goal.
So expectation, reality, practice, and push yourself to that 1% more than someone else is doing.
Yeah, and details.
In details, okay. Yeah. Okay, right. Just to close it off, one last thing. I'm going to say a single word, and you got to tell me as quick as you can the first word that pops into your head. Could be anything. Could be glass, could be fire pit, could be lights, anything that you can think of, okay? All right. So I've got a couple of words written over here. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Quick answer already. Okay. Sports.
Competition.
Athlete.
Passion.
Strong.
Strong. Power.
It's a bit too long.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
Easy, yeah?
We still got more.
It's not easy.
Mindset.
Focus.
Swim.
Water.
Bike.
Road.
Run.
Pain.
Pain. Honestly.
Yeah, my favorite sport is not running at all.
Ironman.
My life.
PR.
Performance.
Right. Thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate you coming through, even though it was a short notice. But this has been so knowledgeable, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn a lot from it. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mara.
Thank you very much for tuning in to episode 3 of the MAs. Stay tuned for the next coming episodes. Take care.